Over the last year and a half, I've been getting into manga again with titles such as Chainsaw Man and Jujutsu Kaisen, but there's one series that keeps getting recommended to me. That's right, I'm talking about One Piece. One Piece is like a crazed door-to-door salesman that just won't quit, no matter how many times I've slammed the door in their face. The worst part is that it's not even like I dislike One Piece, it's just that I don't feel I've ever given it the true chance it deserves, so I'm here today to talk about one of the biggest video endeavors I've ever considered, documenting my entire read-through of the titan that is One Piece. Now before I begin my journey, I think it's important to give y'all some insight on my history with One Piece, and explain why it's something I've put off for so long. As stated before, I'm no stranger to One Piece. It's something that has been present for as long as I can remember. The first, and what I would mark as unfortunate experience I ever had with One Piece was in the fall of 2004. Most older fans of the series will know where this is going, and yep, it's the 4Kids dub. My first impression with One Piece revolved around that horrible pirate rap song, which I remember Mugi and I clowning into the ground. I thought it was probably the dumbest thing I'd ever heard in my life, and there was no way 11-year-old me was giving it any time of day. About a year or so later, Mugi would learn from some online friends about how horribly 4Kids had butchered One Piece. They had suggested that he check out the original version of the anime and even check out the manga, to which he changed his tune rather quickly. Mugi had gone from One Piece hater number 1 to superfan in a matter of months. I was completely baffled because in my mind I'm thinking about the stupid ass pirate rap, but he's telling me the original work is so much better, and after watching some of the fan subs with him, I was also quickly convinced that we were sold a shitty product by 4Kids. With this newfound knowledge that One Piece was nothing like what was presented on the Fox box, I began to collect some of the manga. I believe I picked up the first 6 volumes, and the only reason I think that might be the case is because I remember the art of the straw hats and suits on that staircase fairly vividly. I even picked up the first original English color walk, which Mugi has mentioned to me on several occasions is fairly rare. That's a pretty cool thing to own for someone who was never a big fan, right? During this phase of giving One Piece its first proper try, I began to become distracted by other series. I was heavily invested in Naruto, so that was always the main priority, and like most folks at the time, I was also getting into Bleach. It also did not help that it felt like the One Piece manga release schedule was moving at a snail's pace, which would release only about 3 or 4 volumes a year. With Naruto skyrocketing in popularity and even getting its English dub premiere around that time, it felt like every other series was being forced to take a back seat. And another series that would push One Piece out of reach for me was Death Note. When Death Note appeared in the September 2005 issue of American Shonen Jump, it was all-consuming. It was so hard to keep up with everything when there were so many constant bangers coming out, which is funny because it kinda reminds me of the current age of manga. But the difference between then and now is that manga and anime were not easily accessible, like, at all. You'd have to download a sketchy fan sub if you wanted to watch a series in Japanese, because at the time, if a series did get an official English localization, there were a lot of liberties taken which often ruined the original vision of the series. And even if it did have a decent localization, if it didn't air on things like the late night blocks on Cartoon Network, you were stuck paying for grossly overpriced DVDs. And if you wanted to read a series that wasn't completely localized, you'd have to dig for poorly translated fan scanlations. Neither of these situations were exactly ideal, but we made it work. It really makes me appreciate just how far the anime industry in America has come. I've touched upon this topic briefly in my Jujutsu Kaisen video, but at some point I'd love to make a video talking about the differences in the anime fandom then versus now. I feel like I would have a lot to say about those experiences, and I'm sure there's a lot of folks that don't realize how far we've come from buying bootleg fan sub VHS tapes at the flea market. With all of this in mind, I'm sure folks can see how easy it was for One Piece to drift away from me. I don't remember too much of the story content that I would have read during this time period, but Mugi had made mention to me recently that I was a very big fan of Sanji. He told me a story about coming over to my house and seeing a drawing of Sanji that I had on my refrigerator. He also told me that I used to refer to Sanji as the Sanjinator. I don't know what the fuck I was on about, but 12-year-old me must have thought that Sanji was cool as fuck. Aside from manga release schedules and hot new series trending, there was another unfortunate situation that occurred. In my freshman year of high school, I decided that I needed to abandon the world of anime and manga because I was far too concerned about what people would think of me when they realized what a nerd I was. In hindsight, I think this is dumb as fuck, and if I could go back in time and tell young Jot that anime and manga were super mainstream in the future, there is no way in hell he would ever believe me. In fact, it's still pretty wild to me that almost everything you would get called a nerd for back then is now acceptable. Games, comics, anime, it all really 180'd. It doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm thankful that it happened anyway. Much later, I did realize the error in my ways and returned to watching anime. This would have been around the time Tokyo Ghoul was a thing, so figure about 2014, 2015. I caught up with the Naruto anime, binged Tokyo Ghoul, and watched most of Hunter x Hunter. I stopped around Chimera Ant arc. I don't really know why I stopped, maybe we can figure that out another time. And when Mugi found out that I was getting back into the fandom, he was very quick to suggest things to me. He suggested that I check out Soul Eater, and he pleaded with me to give One Piece another shot after all those years, and spoiler, I didn't watch either of them. Now this is where the big issue comes in. I'd finally get the urge to check out One Piece. I'd watch like 3 to 5 episodes and become instantly overwhelmed with how many episodes there are. And even currently, this is my same issue. I see the episode number just climb higher and higher, and it fills me with a couple different anxieties, which goes something like, will I ever catch up? And will the series ever actually end? I've been told by many different friends that I'm looking at One Piece with the entirely wrong perspective. Do not look at One Piece as a challenge where you need to finish it as fast as possible. No, I should look at it as this long journey that I should take at my own pace and just enjoy the ride. I don't think it's just my own fault that I see One Piece in that light either, because I've heard Mugi talk about the waves of people who want to enter the fandom and just rush to catch up. There are people that think you can skip entire arcs or that you can just pick up wherever you want, and that is not the case at all. One Piece, as it's been discussed in front of me, appears to be a dish that is meant to be served in the proper order. There's no asking the chef to change up the meal. Everything is meticulously laid out. What the viewer or reader might think is a small detail or an insignificant character might come back with a colossal story impact super far down the line. I appreciate that level of depth, and I think that's what's drawing me towards wanting to finally experience the series. I've gone back and forth in the last year or so about if I should finally give it a chance. I've heard the anime quality is inconsistent in a lot of areas, and that if I did watch it, it would be recommended that I eventually just switch to the manga. And this led me to where I'm at now. I'm not going to consume what is considered to be one of the greatest shonen epics in a half-ass manner. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it the right way. Read the manga. And I don't think there could be a better time for me to get into One Piece. I'm caught up on all my other series I'm interested in, some of them are even ending soon, so I gotta find something to fill the void. And One Piece is also in its final saga, but who really knows when the fuck it's gonna actually end? Oda says like every other year that it's on its way out, but I don't think I'd ever believe him. One Piece is like a buff 100-year-old man that just won't quit. It might slow down from time to time, but that motherfucker is still trucking, man. After many recent discussions with Mugi, he helped me create a guide to base my reading experience off of. He helped me break the series down into logical breaks where I could make videos, which also conveniently works as checkpoints. I think seeing the series broken up like that makes it seem a lot less scary to me, and the great thing about reading the series is that I can do it in my own pace. I don't gotta sit through openings and endings or filler. I can just turn on my tablet and enjoy reading a bit each day. Mugi has agreed to basically be my One Piece mentor. If I got questions about the series or need further direction on stopping points, he's my go-to guy. And this will also help me avoid potential spoilers. The first video will cover the first 68 chapters, so figure Romance Dawn to Baratie. I'm not going to set a specific release date because I don't want to rush this, but right now I think I'm aiming for at least one One Piece video every few weeks. Certain checkpoints will be shorter or longer, so that will also affect release schedule as well. Probably a good time to mention this, but if you're interested in my voyage into One Piece and you're not already subscribed, make sure you hit the sub button for updates. I'd love to have you along for the ride as I experience this series. I'll also still be working on other projects in between the One Piece videos, as I would still love to talk about Chainsaw Man and some other series and topics. Before we finish off this video, I think it's important that we talk a bit about spoilers. As stated before, I will have Mugi as a buffer to avoid spoilers, but considering how long One Piece has been a thing, I know that will be near impossible. One Piece is one of those series that, as the years have gone on, it's been the most casually spoiled for me. I would just be browsing social media and wham! There's a random spoiler. I've done my best to try to erase most of the spoilers from my mind, and I'm hoping that I forget most of them as I start to read through the series. Mugi and a few others have assured me that these spoilers shouldn't be too impactful to my reading experience, as the context around them are what make those moments more powerful. And for those wondering, the footage I used for this video was from Pirate Warriors 4, but I just skipped all the cutscenes and avoided reading any of the text aside from gameplay tips. Even with the few things that I know about One Piece, I truly don't know what to expect. I get the sense that the story shifts and changes constantly and never really sticks to one formula, and based on images I've seen through different arcs, I get the impression that maybe it even changes genre for moments. I've truthfully never been a fan of Luffy as a character with the limited knowledge that I have about him, but I'm hoping this comes as a case of my ignorance clouding my judgment. He's one of the most beloved characters of all time, so there's gotta be some sort of reason to that which I hope to discover. There's a few characters I've always thought were cool based off of, just designs, I like Sanji and Zoro and Brook, and I always thought that Crocodile was cool too because he made me think of the 90s horror flick Candyman. Based on random things I've seen from the series, I think the arc I find myself most interested in is Thriller Bark, which I've been told is kind of a hot topic, but I got a way long time before I get there. I'm not gonna rush my way there, but it's something that I'll keep in the back of my mind that'll feel rewarding when I finally get there. I'm praying that it meets the hype my newbie brain has for it. So to bring all of this full circle, I can't wait to share my One Piece journey with you all. With Mugi to help guide me, I think I'm ready to begin. Sometime after recording this video, I'm gonna go ahead and start chapter 1. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and hit the like button, stop by the comments, and wish me luck on my big attempt to finally get into One Piece. As usual, I'd like to take a moment to thank my channel members. My content would not be possible without your support. Seriously, y'all help me pay for my Jump subscription to keep reading things and keep busting out videos. Y'all are the best. This video shout out goes to TH Revolution. TH, I know you're one of the biggest advocates for me reading and checking out One Piece, so I know this news will make you happy, but I'm still not watching Steins Gate. If you'd like to become a channel member and possibly get a shout out, you can check out the join button down below. Until next time, I'll see you soon.